Today is day 2 of Lent, and we're continuing a theme within a theme. Throughout this 40 days, we're going to be focusing on the words that are often printed in red in our Bibles, the words of Jesus himself. And this week, we're looking at times when Jesus calls people to follow him and what that looks like. If Jesus came to your workplace today and said, "Leave everything and follow me," what would that look like? What would that mean to you? Maybe some of the first things that would come to your head would be to leave all your worldly possessions behind and go in and walk around from town to town like a traveling crazy person. Maybe grow a big beard and eat locusts and honey like John the Baptist and stand in town squares proclaiming that God has come through a megaphone. Or maybe our image of being called by God would mean quitting working for the NHS or business or school to work at a church instead, or for a Christian charity or some sort of thing. Jesus here in Luke chapter 5 verses 1 through to 11, he's teaching on the shore, and his first disciples are there because they're fishermen. And I wonder if we see kind of Jesus as on the shore in our lives whilst we're out in the boats getting on with things. And at times we might row back to the shore and hear Jesus speak, and then we row out again into our lives. And maybe for you that's kind of reflected in that pattern of you have Sunday gathering and you have small groups and you have your friends and you row to them and you are inspired and you center yourself on the words of Jesus, but then you row back out and try and live it out. And that can be a good pattern in some ways, I guess, to think about what it is we're doing, but there's a split there. And there's a sense of what has the teaching of Jesus to do with nets and boats and fishing. Jesus, after teaching on the side, there's such a crowd gathers. He asks if he can go in the boat. And Simon Peter rows out a little bit. And there Jesus can teach a bit better. There his voice can be amplified across the water and more people can hear and see him. And I think that's the first part of God's call to us at the start of this Lent journey, of asking the question, where would Jesus place himself within our work? Where is God at work in the 9 to 5 of our lives? I heard someone quote and say that Tom Brady, the famous NFL quarterback, said that good athletes know what to do 9 to 5 and great athletes know what to do 5 to 9. The implication being knowing how to rest and eat well and look after yourself outside of training and being on the field. I wonder if the same is true of disciples, that we've made church a 5 to 9 activity, Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights, and maybe a prayer group squeezed in every now and then. But actually God wants our 9 to 5, and Jesus is at work in our 9 to 5 and would ask us to allow him to step in. Maybe he's already there. And maybe the first prayer today is to notice where God is at work. Where are there opportunities for Jesus to speak in the midst of your 9 to 5? Then Jesus asked them to go out and fish. And it's an overwhelming catch. When Jesus gets involved in our day-to-day and our work, I think sometimes we can have that sense of it being a bit overwhelming, but there can also be an opportunity for fruitfulness, for abundance, for everything to come together, for us to really feel motivated and alive in our places of work. Simon's response is one of confusion and of confession. I am a sinful man. Why are you here? Go away from me. And I think when we notice Jesus in the midst of our work, I think the next movement for us to take is to confess, is to think about the ways that we have turned away from God or not involved our everyday lives in the fullness of God. That's a call for all of us to make daily, to bring our hearts to God and say, I return to you once again. And then Jesus responds to him and says, don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people. Jesus uses something about Simon's world, about his life to explore, to explain how he is going to follow him. It's a metaphor. It's not necessarily direct. He's not going to use his net. But there's a sense that God is involved in our whole lives, in all of our work, and he uses that. So, today, I wonder if we can make that 3-part journey as disciples. Can we notice where Jesus is already within our place of work? Where are the opportunities and spaces which Jesus is using to speak? Secondly, can we confess? Can we return our hearts to Jesus? Thirdly, how would Jesus use our hands, our tools, our experience to help love people, to help bring people into the kingdom, to help people to experience his love? I pray that as you ask those questions and you read the passage today, God would speak to you in a new way.